Welcome to Acts Christian Church, where you're the head and not the tail.
The year of Thanksgiving.
Thanks for joining us on a Thursday night. I do believe it's important that the church comes out of its congregation into the community. And I think we'll go beyond the four walls. And so we'll be using these Thursday nights, God's willing, to address some very, very serious issues that I believe is not just facing the world, but even us in the church. And I think education is important and awareness. So you know what the topic we're dealing with. We're dealing with bowel cancer screening. And it really actually, I think in a sense, kind of thought that I should do something on this area. And I met some incredible people, and we've got one of that incredible person in the studio, no other than my guest today, which is Lisa-Lyna. And she's from the Health Improvement Specialist. And she's going to speak to us today, and she deals with bowel cancer screening. And she actually works with at the St. George's Hospital. So I want you to open your mind to hear what she's got to say, because I'm telling you, it's going to be off the chain today. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us here today. This is a massive topic.
It is a massive topic.
And we're hearing it in the media as well. What's her name? Dame?
Yeah, Bowel Babe, she's called Dame Deborah.
Oh, bless her.
She recently passed away, but she was doing a lot of amazing things in terms of raising awareness for bowel cancer. So yeah, it brings us perfectly onto the discussion we're having today and the importance of taking part in the bowel cancer screen.
Well, I'm just honoured that you're here, just to enlighten us, teach us a little bit more. As I said, you're from St. George's Hospital. How long have you been there?
Yeah, so I've been there for 3 years now. So I'm the Health Improvement Specialist. So I work there so I work in their bowel cancer screening centre. And yeah, I'm loving it. It's a great role. Everything to do with raising awareness for bowel cancer screening is basically what I do. So yeah, I work across the whole of South West London. So that's all the 6 boroughs. So that's Croydon, Wandsworth, Merton, Richmond, Kingston, Sutton. So I've got a big patch. So
you're busy. Is there a team of you, or is it just you pioneering this?
Yeah. So there's a team of us. In terms of my specific role as a health improvement specialist, there's only one of me. But I work in a fantastic team. We've got our specialist screening nurses. We've got our endoscopists. We've got our managers. We've got our admin team. So there's a lot of us in the actual team, but in terms of my role, there's only one of me.
Okay. Now, I've got a series of questions, but before I get to the questions, on a score, obviously, from 1 to 10, how important is this message?
11.
How important?
No, honestly speaking, it's important. I think, when it comes to our health, it's so important that we take control and try and do things that can keep us living for longer, keep us healthy as possible. And bowel cancer is a common cancer. And I think what we really need to make sure is people understand that, there is a screening test that's out there that people can take that it does one of two things. It can either prevent bowel cancer or it can help you diagnose at the earliest of stages. So it's really important that people get on board.
And before we get to the questions, what are we hoping to achieve, even in this interview, as it reaches thousands? What is it that you want this interview to achieve?
Well, I want people to understand the importance of doing a bowel cancer screen. I want people, the members, community, everyone that's out there, I want them to know and understand how easy it is to do the test, and to make sure that, that we're just keeping bowel cancer at the front of our minds. And I think that's really the main aim today. We just want people to take part, want people to do the test, and want people to understand what bowel cancer is, and, just how the things that you can do to help yourself prevent, being in a bad state, so yeah.
Okay, let's go to my questions, and I'm sure it's going to help somebody. Okay, so what is the NHS bowel cancer screening campaign all about, and who is eligible?
Yeah. So the bowel cancer screening campaign is a London-wide campaign that's currently happening. So it actually started in August, 8th of August to be exact, and it's running through until the end of September. And it's basically running across London. And the main aim of the campaign is to raise awareness around the importance of doing your bowel cancer screen. So the campaign's fantastic because it's focusing on 10 particular boroughs. And when we say particular boroughs, that's focusing on the poorest performing boroughs. So the boroughs across London that haven't got the greatest of uptakes. And Croydon happens to be one of them.
Croydon?
Yes, Croydon does, which happens to fall under my patch, as I mentioned earlier.
Of course.
So I'm doing a lot of work in terms of, coming out, meeting loving people like yourself and talking about the importance of screening. But the campaign is basically focusing on raising awareness. So what we want to do is raise awareness on the importance of doing your bowel cancer screen, and that's for everyone that's eligible. But in addition to that, there's 4 particular groups that the campaign is really geared towards. So firstly, it's people from BME communities.
Of course, our community.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail.
Yes, I'd like to. Yeah. Why, again, the BME community seems to be slowing taking up this very important. So we'll park that and you can bring more information on that.
Definitely. Yeah. Also focusing on men. So we know that,
men.
we don't want to point fingers. We don't want to point fingers, but we know that men don't always have the greatest uptake. So we were focusing on that. Also focusing on first time invitees. So these are people that are first invited to do their screen. So, general research shows that, if somebody does their screen for the first time, they're more inclined to continue doing it when
that initial step, isn't it?
Exactly. It's that first step of doing it. So what we want to do is make sure we're focusing on those people and making sure we're supporting them do the screen. And finally, patients with learning disabilities.
Good.
So
exclusive, everybody.
Exactly that. We really want to address health inequalities. We want to make sure that everyone has access to screening. So these are the 4 cohorts, and the campaign is a great campaign, and we actually have a video that's going to show, I think we're going to be playing it, that's going to show us that this has been created as part of this campaign to focus on people with learning disabilities.
Okay, Lisa, before we get to that video, because I've watched it, it's really good.
It is a good video.
Let's begin to look at these segments. You mentioned 4. The BME.
Yes.
Why do you think that there is always a slow take-up in our community? What's your thinking?
Yeah.
Why you think?
Honestly, there's a range of reasons. I think when it comes to healthcare in general, whenever we're looking at health inequalities, we do always notice that in terms of BME communities, we tend to be, poorest performing in terms of taking part. I think there's a range of reasons. I think, in terms of general awareness, there isn't always that general awareness. That's why this campaign is so great. I feel that people from BME communities may not necessarily know the importance of doing a bowel cancer screen. They may not really understand signs and symptoms. We have people in BME communities that tend to be, sometimes from lower deprived, socioeconomic things. These have an effect.
Yes.
And what we want to make sure is that it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, that you're getting access and you're getting information and you're getting a screen done. That's really the important thing.
Excellent. Okay. And the next segment, men.
Yeah.
Why is it that us men are slow on a take-up on something as important as this? It's as if we always put these things off. I'm okay, I don't need to do it, or I can't get an appointment at the doctor's.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on why
you're a
men?
man, I should ask you, really.
Good point. I maybe mentioned a couple of things to you just now. Always slow to make the initial call to the doctors or see something and think, well, it's not that. No, it's all right. I don't feel unhealthy and unwell. That may be just something I ate last night or whatever. I'm maybe not happy about to hear bad news.
Honestly, Bishop, I think you really hit the nail on the head. I think, and we don't want to generalize and we don't want to accuse men of anything, but the fact is, there's many factors. A lot of men find that they're busy, they kind of put their health to the back, There's so many other things that are going on that men need to do that sometimes checking up on their health is not necessarily at the forefront. I'm sure you can probably confirm this, but there's many times that you might not be feeling so great and you're like, well, I've got to be a man about it. Let me get on. Let me go and do some work,
It wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Exactly that. And we know that happens so much. So what we want to do is just make sure that we're encouraging people, men as well, to do their screens, and letting them know how simple and easy and effective it is.
Simple, isn't it?
Is the best way.
And then I think lastly, or if I've missed out, because we're coming on to disability, aren't we? How you've also reaching that area of individuals. I mean, that might just move us on to the video.
Yeah.
Disability, people with disability, how you're reaching out to them.
Definitely. I think, and the video will perfectly highlight as well, just, whenever we're looking at patients with learning disabilities, we always need to bear in mind that, there are always going to be reasonable adjustments that need to be made. We are always going to need to go that extra mile to ensure that they are included, which is why, there's been a campaign, as part of this campaign, this video has been created to make sure that, that they can see and they can easily understand the importance of doing a screen. So yeah, it's so important. I can't even highlight it, and I think I'm so proud of the campaign that's going on at the moment, because there's so much resources to put out there to help support all of these groups of people that I've mentioned, and yeah, we just really hope it has an impact in terms of uptake for screening. Okay,
to make sure I don't want to miss out any. We talked about BME, men, disability. There was one more?
Yeah, first time invitees.
Good. First time invitees, because you're saying if we invite them, they'll come back again. We will say if you build it, they will come.
Exactly that. So we want people to do their screen. We want them to continue doing their screen. And we know, just generally through research, that if you do it the first time, you're more inclined to do it moving forward. It's not always the case, but we know generally that is a good route. So we're trying to encourage that. So that's all part of the cohort of people we're trying to reach.
Brilliant, I love that. So simple. I hope you got that. Straightforward, simple. I think this is important. Now, Lisa talked about the importance of this video, and I think we should look at it. The learning disability video, which I've had a look at it, and I think it's brilliant. So it's about to come right now. So watch this.
Bowel screening is a poo test, which is done at home and through the post. You will receive a test kit, a letter, a free post envelope, and instructions on how to complete the test.
I had a kit like an envelope, came through the post. I did a poo with a stick. Take poo from the poo on a stick and fold the envelope and send it off. I often do it. It's cake.
Cancer is a illness or a disease that can affect any race or nationality or any age or gender.
Screenings are offered for people who are asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic is when people don't have any symptoms, but they could have cancer without knowing.
Cancer screening is an important part of cancer prevention. If we can catch cancer early, then it means that treatment is more likely to work and more people survive.
People with learning disabilities are not as likely to be screened, so we need you to work with us to improve these numbers.
Just be relaxed, calm down, and go through it.
Sometimes words such as cancer or screening can make you worry or may make you feel scared. But remember not to be afraid or embarrassed to ask any questions. Feel free to speak to your relative or carer, or your nurse, or even your GP, who will be able to answer any questions you have and give you any information that you need to allow you to make a decision.
Wow, that video.
Yeah. It was a great video, right?
Yeah, because you're reaching out, because it's a word I've always heard, the hard to reach. I don't like that word. You know why? If you use the word the hard to reach, then it feels to yourself then,
they're hard to reach.
and that just cancels. But it's great. You put a video together like this, and it's reaching out to them. Give us a little bit more on that video. How did it feel to get there?
It's great. I think for me, obviously, I didn't put it together. NHS England
of
did
course,
it together.
yes.
But I'm proud to be encouraging and supporting and letting people know about the video. And I think it's great because what it shows is that, time and care has been taken into supporting patients with learning disabilities.
Absolutely.
And what it shows is that, it's a very simple test to do. So what we want to make sure is that people doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your disability may be. It's really important that if you're invited for a screen that you do it.
Yes.
So it's really great.
I'm really very pleased about that. That's reaching out, going the extra. Yeah.
I think so.
Because they're people as well.
Yeah,
they have qualities, they have things to offer as well. Definitely. They're human beings like myself. So reaching out and going that extra mile can also save a life.
Definitely, and I think, we know as well, I mean, in terms of, it's the field that I work in, so we know as well that with patients with learning disabilities, the screening uptake is a lot lower than it should be.
Wow.
So what we want to do is make sure that we address that. And again, this campaign is focusing on that. This video perfectly highlights, that we're trying to encourage and support patients with learning disabilities to do it. But as well, what I always mention is that, campaigns are only ever for a short period of time. We want to keep the momentum going. So,
very good.
Which is why it's great we're having this conversation, because long after the campaign's done,
this keeps going.
Exactly.
This is good. And you say, and I said, as a minister, sometimes we are sat in our pulpits. And to me, this has been relevant. I'm learning so much, and I want to be able to help this campaign go forward.
I'm glad.
Now, let me go back. This is a question I want to pose to you again. I think we touched on it a little bit, but why is it important to reach ethnic minority communities with this campaign? I know we may have touched on it a little bit, but why?
Because we know that BME communities are just not taking part as much as they should. We know that, bowel cancer is the 4th most common cancer here in the UK.
The 4th?
The 4th most common cancer here in the UK. And what we want to do is make sure that people are actually taking part, and everyone, I want to highlight, we want everyone that's eligible to take part, but we want to make sure that those cohorts of populations that we know are undertaking or not taking part as much, like BME communities, should be taking part. And that's the important thing. And we know that in terms of getting information out, sometimes the information isn't as available as we would like it to be. And that's a fact. And again, this campaign is focusing on those cohorts of patients coming into communities like this, being able to talk to you, and send it out to people that look like you and me, that will understand, that will be able to take away information and actually be encouraged to do their screen, is so significant. So,
I mean, that's why I'm saying there is ministry outside the 4 walls. Definitely. And as a minister of the gospel, I love preaching what I preach about. But there could be people in our own congregation who may look like me with this and have nowhere to go, but hearing it on the pulpit or in an environment where they're saying A, B, and C could just trigger a reaction.
Definitely. I mean, one of the things that I do in terms of my role is actually going out and doing community engagement. So I've actually had, I go to many events where I talk face-to-face with all people around the importance of bowel screening. And exactly like you're saying, I've had instances where people have come in and, they have actually spoken to me and said, for whatever reason, they're scared or they're anxious or they don't want to do a screen. And, I'm able to encourage that.
Excellent.
And what I found is, it happens across, all races, all ethnicities, but it does happen within our BME communities. And, we want to be able to encourage and say, this is an important thing to do. It can save your life, so yeah, it's just really important.
In all my ministerial life, I'm sure I would have been a part of maybe burying somebody that who had never had a screening, just found something and wished they had.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the facts.
Yeah, that's so true. You never know, yeah.
Anyway, I want you maybe to look in that camera and tell us, what are the symptoms of bowel cancer? What is it that they can see that will indicate there's a problem?
So there's a few things to bear in mind. So the first thing is a change in your bowel habit. So, we all know our bodies, we know what we're used to, especially when it comes to going to the toilet. But if you notice a change in bowel habit, this could easily be a sign or symptom of bowel cancer. So when we say change in bowel habit, we're talking about, either going to the toilet too much or not enough. So when I say go to the toilet too much, I mean diarrhea. So if somebody has diarrhea, that could be a sign of bowel cancer.
Okay.
If you have constipation, so struggling to go to the toilet, that in itself could be a sign of bowel cancer. If you notice a lump or a pain in your tummy or your lower abdomen, this could also be a sign of bowel cancer. Also, if you notice blood in your stool, so So this is a really important one because I always talk to people about the fact that, whenever we go to the toilets, whenever we do a poo, we do it.
We do.
We do it.
Human beings.
We do it. Let's talk about
Everybody does it.
We do it.
Yes.
Whenever we go, we do a poo.
Yeah.
We wipe, wash our hands. We should be washing our hands.
Better.
I hope you're washing your hands. But yeah, we wash our hands and then, we leave. It's not common for people to look back when they're done doing their poo, to check inside that toilet or to look at the tissue when they wipe themselves. So one thing I always encourage people is to look. Whenever you're done doing a poo, look inside the toilet. Is there any blood inside the toilet? Look on the tissue when you wipe your bum. Is there any blood on the tissue? This can be signs of bowel cancer, and it can easily be missed because people don't always check, right? So one thing I always encourage is make sure you check. Also, if you notice any bloating in your tummy, that can be a sign of bowel cancer. And also any unexplained weight loss. So if you find that you're losing weight and you're not doing anything out of the ordinary to lose weight, you're not going to the gym, you're not dieting specifically to lose weight, and you notice that you're losing weight, that could be a sign of bowel cancer.
Wow.
All of these are symptoms that you should always go and get checked, but something that I stress, and I will continue to stress, is it doesn't mean that if you have these symptoms you have bowel cancer, because they could be for anything.
Yes.
But it's just important that if you do develop these symptoms, you go and you get yourself checked out.
That's the word, isn't it? Checking.
Yeah, that's it.
Checking.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very important to check. Okay. Now that moves us on nicely to the kit.
Yeah.
The screening kit. How does somebody use it?
They do. Well, I come prepared, so I've got a nice little...
What we done earlier.
Luckily, it's actually not been used.
No. Being all seriously, yes.
It's actually clean.
Yes.
But yes.
Yes.
So it's a very, very simple test to do. So this is what the test looks like. I hope you guys can see it. It's just a small little tube. It's got a green little lid. So it's called a FIT test, a fecal immunochemical test.
Wow.
That's the full name of it, but FIT test is fine. You don't need to say the long fancy word. And what this test essentially is looking for is blood in your stool. So if you recall, I mentioned earlier, blood could be a sign and symptom of bowel cancer, but you don't always necessarily see. Yeah, please have a look. You don't always necessarily see blood in your stool. What this has the ability to do is pick up traces of blood that even the human eye can't detect.
Wow.
But enough to be able to identify whether it's a cause for concern or not. So this is the test that you would receive in the post. So the way that bowel screening works is you have to fall within a particular age range. You have to be eligible. There's an eligibility criteria.
Is there?
Yeah. So it's for both men and women, but you have to be between 56 and 74.
Okay. Is that where... Okay.
Yeah, I can see you've got questions coming.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine.
Continue in your flow.
So you have to be between 56 and 74. So the way it works is as long as you're registered with your GP, because we need an address, as long as you're registered with your GP, automatically, once you turn 56, you'll receive this kit in the post, and you'll receive it every 2 years. That's how screening works. Every 2 years, you receive this kit in the post. And once you receive it, you basically just need to collect your stool sample, do a poo, collect it, and put it inside this tube. Now I'm going to open it up just to show you how simple it is. So it's literally a small little green groove, it's grooves that you call it, right? So inside here, you've got a little bit of, there's like a liquid inside there that's going to be able to preserve the sample that you collect. So what you need to do is go to the toilet, as you normally would go to the toilet, collect your stool however you wish. Make sure it doesn't touch the water, so you need to collect it straight from your bottom.
Right.
So either you're putting it into a container, a clean container, by the way, we don't want it to be filled with anything, but a clean container, or you can collect your poo with tissue on your hand. You can use a glove to collect the poo right into your hand. The main thing is you just need to collect that stool sample clean and before it touches the water. Once you collect that stool sample, you open up this tube. There's some small little grooves along the end of it, and you merely just scrape it across your stool sample. You scrape it, and then you pop it back inside. And that's it, it's so simple.
Okay.
And once you do that, it comes with a prepaid envelope. So you pop it inside the prepaid envelope, and you'll send it straight off. You pop it in the post, it gets sent to our labs, and it gets processed.
Okay. So what does the lab look for?
Yeah.
And how long does it take before you get the results back?
Definitely. So they're looking for blood in the stool, like I said, but it needs to be enough that's a cause for concern. So if it's a tiny little bit, it may be fine. But our tests are really sensitive, so they know the quantity in which they're looking for, and once they identify if it's a cause for concern, you will be informed. And a cause for concern is basically just means an abnormal result. And I'll touch on what these results mean in a second, actually. But yes, they're looking for blood. You should receive your results within 2 weeks of sending it off. It's really quick. To be honest, you probably receive it sooner than that, but just allow 14 days. And what you will do is you'll get one of 3 results. So you'll either get a normal result, so negative result, normal result, that just means that no blood was found in your stool, no concerning amount of blood was found in your stool. Or you might get an abnormal result, so a positive result, and that means that blood was found in your stool. And if blood was found in your stool, there would then need to be further investigation, which we can touch on that in a little bit. Or you might get an inconclusive, so for whatever reason, they weren't able to process the result, and they'll simply ask you to do another test and send it back off to the lab again.
Okay, now that's very informative. Now, there may be people watching that says, I've never received a kit.
Yeah.
What do they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. It shouldn't happen, but these things can happen. It's very, very simple. All you need to do is call the Bowel Cancer Screening National Helpline, and they will be able to send you out a kit, providing you are eligible and you fall in that screening age of 56 to 74, like I mentioned. The number is 0800 707 6060.
And if somebody was over the age of 75?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when you're over the age, you're no longer eligible for screening. However, you can continue screening if you wish, but you have to make a note of calling up every 2 years. So you won't receive it every 2 years automatically like you would have done if you were eligible. And again, it's that same number. I think this number I mention all the time, but it's 0800 707 6060. That's the National Bowel Screening Hub helpline. So you would call that number if you needed to order a new kit, or you wanted to request to continue doing it.
Okay. Here's a question. Now, I'm trying to say to where they need to go if they needed further information, but I believe our technical engineer at this moment is going to be putting the website there. You go, the website's up there. Yeah. That if they need more information.
Yeah, so this website, www.healthylondon.org/BCS, is it's a website that's been put together to support the campaign, this bowel cancer screening campaign in London. So yeah, you can go on that website and you can get a whole load of information in terms of the campaign and just general bowel cancer screening in general. In addition to that, I always encourage other websites that you can also go and get information on. You've got Cancer Research UK, you've got Macmillan, you've got Bowel Cancer UK. These are all websites that you can go and you can get a lot of information from. So definitely important to go and check it out. And I think we also have a video as well.
That's right. Yeah. This has just been so informative. You're excellent. I mean, I'm just hoping and trusting every one of you have taken this note down. Now, you're definitely going to be in a position where you're now aware of what happens behind the screen. We've got a professional here that's going up and down our boroughs trying to educate people on the importance of this. There's one more video which I think is great, an animated video which actually sums up everything you've just heard. Watch this.
I was sent a free NHS bowel cancer screening kit when I was 56. I didn't do it, just didn't fancy it, to be honest. Then my wife asked me to use it, just in case, she said. My test found something that turned out to be cancer. But thanks to that screening, it was caught early and now I've got the all clear. My wife still gives me that look that says, "Told you so."
The free NHS bowel cancer screening kit is quick and easy to use. And you do it in private at home. I do it each time I'm sent one, every 2 years. It's such a relief to get the letter saying, all's well.
I did a poo with a stick. Take poo from the poo on a stick. I folded it and sent it off. I can do it. It's cake.
Hello, I'm Ofosu-Asare. I'm a surgeon who treats people with bowel cancer. It's one of the most common cancers. Anyone can get it. That's why the NHS sends out free bowel cancer screening kits to use at home. They are for people with no symptoms, and most people get the all clear. You'll be sent a free kit when you're the age for it. Please use it. It could stop cancer before it starts.
I just love animations. It just speaks to us, doesn't it? It just kind of makes sure that video is absolutely simple to understand and to follow. So well done to the NHS. for putting
Well
that
done,
together.
they've done a great job.
Yeah, you know, Lisa, one thing we missed out on is what happens if we get a result that's positive?
Yeah, good answer. Good question, actually. So if you get a positive result, that means, like we said earlier, that blood has been found in the stool. And, you know, we would just want to make sure that, find out what it is, basically. Because we know that blood can be a sign of bowel cancer. So what we basically say is that if a patient has a positive result, the next stage would be to have an appointment with someone called a specialist screening practitioner. So that's a specialist nurse. So where I work at St. George's, we have a great team of SSP. And what they do is they have appointments with patients that have positive results. And they basically discuss with the patient what a positive result means.
Talk to the screen,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
so they can get this. I mean,
Definitely. So if you have a positive result, our SSPs will have a discussion with you. They'll book you in with an appointment. You'll be booked with an appointment with our SSP. And they'll basically talk to you about what a positive result means. And that basically means that blood's been found in the stool. And, you know, the next stage would ideally be for you to go for further investigation. Now, routinely, the further investigation involves a colonoscopy. Some of you may have heard of this or may not have heard of it, but what it is basically a camera. It's a camera that's put through your bottom. And the main aim is to go through your bottom into your bowel, to be able to look through the whole of your bowel and see what is causing that blood. I want to highlight, it doesn't mean that because blood has been found that you've got bowel cancer. That is not what it means. It just means that further investigation needs to be done, and we would be able to support you with that. In South West London, St. George's Hospital is the screening centre that covers this. So you would be invited to come in for a colonoscopy and basically just look to identify what's going on. It's very straightforward. And you know, our nurses are on hand to support you and make sure that you feel as comfortable as possible whenever doing your procedure. So yeah, that's basically what would happen. And that would be able to identify, you know, what's causing the blood.
excellent. Thank you so much. So yeah, I just wanted just to speak.
Of course.
So we knew sometimes that's the problem, you see, because we just don't know about the, change and the unknown is something that, you know, if I don't know it, I just don't know it.
Exactly.
And I don't want to know it. So that's, so by explaining the unknown to someone, now gives them an idea to say, it's not as bad as I thought.
Exactly. And I hope that that's what, you know, people that see this are going to be able to take away from the video, that it's a very simple test to do. You know, and I think I want to highlight a couple of statistics just for people to know.
Yes.
Because when it comes to bowel cancer screening, this test really does save lives. And you know, with bowel cancer, what we know is that if it's diagnosed in the earliest of stages, so we're looking at stage 1 and stage 2, you've got a 98% survival rate.
98%?
Which is 98, 9 in 10, 98%. That's a fantastic amount.
Absolutely.
And you know, bowel cancer screening, taking part in your bowel cancer screen can really help identify cancer at its earliest of stages, and that's because It has the ability to be able to identify if there's any growths that are precancerous, so they can remove it before it develops into cancer. Or it has the ability to identify, you know, if there's already cancer growing, but, you know, identifying it at its earliest stage because you're taking part regularly.
Yes.
That's not to say that there hasn't been instances where people can do a screen and, you know, it's for whatever reason, cancer is at a later stage.
Yes.
These things do happen. But what we know is if you encourage, you know, if people are encouraged to take part in the screening all the time, quite often we're able to diagnose cancers before they even develop.
Excellent.
Or at the earliest stages. However, if a cancer with bowel cancer particularly is diagnosed as its late stage, so we're looking at stages 3 and 4, it drops down to around 43%. So that's around 4 in 10 people in terms of survival. So these are drastic differences. And you know, why wouldn't you take a screening test when you're able to basically save your life, save a life, right? So it's really important to just highlight that.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that. Wow, yeah, food for thought, but this is why I do what I do, to bring this to a wider audience so that they can deal with an issue and knowing that it's not, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
It's great. It's been a pleasure talking to you, but let's just round this up, which, you know, you're going to highlight that, you know, there's a few celebrities that have backed the campaign as well have gone through it, the same process.
There are. It's a great campaign, and it's great to know that we've got celebrities on board that are supporting. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to just get it up on the screen individually now. So you can see the individual celebrities are up on there, which is great. And they've got different quotes on there. So we've got George Elijah, who is a BBC broadcaster. And you can see there's a lovely quote there. People are worried about going to the doctor, but these simple NHS bowel cancer screening tests are done at home and can save your life.
That's right.
Simple, straight to the point, effective, and it's so true. You know, and we really hope that it encourages people to actually take part. We've got Dr. Austin, who's a consultant and colorectal surgeon. If you receive a bowel cancer screening kit, use it as soon as possible. You can stop cancer before it starts. So it's great. You know, we've got various people that are really supporting in terms of this campaign and just making sure that, you know, all the people that are eligible for screening are making sure that they take part. On here as well, we've got Chris Akabusi, so an Olympic athlete. As a healthy man in my 60s, I thought I was invincible. However, I had a cancer scare and it was a wake-up call. Take the free NHS bowel cancer screening test, do it for yourself and your loved ones. Celebrities, cancer doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate.
Race, religion, creed, it does not discriminate, and I think that's what this really highlights. So it's really important that people take part. And we've also got Sean Fletcher, who's a Good Morning Britain presenter.
Yes, that's right.
His mother passed away from bowel cancer, so he's highlighting really a part of his campaign and saying he's calling on those who received a bowel cancer screening kit to do it straight away. It takes a few minutes and can save your life, and it does. It literally takes a few minutes to do. So simple. So it's great to know that the campaign is going on, and it's great to know that we've got people that are, you know, in support of it. It's just fantastic.
Lisa, thank you so much. It was so informative. I've learned so much. I'm so proud that we were able to address a very important issue like this. And I pray that this campaign, in a sense, reaches so many people.
Amen.
And make a difference, that because I heard this, it prompted them to move to do something positive in their lives.
That would be amazing.
So thank you for coming in this evening and being with us.
Thank you for having
educating the world. Now please, can I talk to you at this moment?
Thank you.
We are dealing with community engagement. We want to get the message out. And we want you to share this. You're going to be watching it for the first time. Share this. All you need to do is share it. Share it. Just go on your device, click it, and get it out. Tweet if you need to tweet it. I don't mind. Facebook it if you need to Facebook it. Please talk to people that you know that you could use this as a way of communicating this information. It's real. We know people do die from it, but yet still there is a preventative side of it. You don't need to by just taking these simple instructions. So Lisa, thank you. Thank you so much, because I've been educated in this area. And I just pray that the campaign will find success.
Thank you, Bishop. God bless you. It's been lovely talking to you.
And yourself. God bless. Tune in next time, and I'm sure that we'll deal with another topic. But please share this, share it with everybody you know. You never know, you could be saving a life. And remember, you're the head and not the tail.